Hi BookTube, I'm here with my 7th video for Rem Books in May. This is a review every day in May, and I'm at the end of my first week! Yay! Today I'll be reviewing The Brief Wondrous Life, of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz, winner of the Pulitzer Prize in, I guess, 2007 or 2008. Yeah. So, this is literary fiction. It's the story of young Oscar here, who's a Dominican American. He's born in the Dominican Republic, and he immigrates with his family to America. But more primarily, it's the story of his family and the history of the Dominican Republic, which was an interesting take. I thought it would be more about one person instead of a whole bunch of people, but it worked out really well. So we really get to know Oscar through the history of his family, his country, and the immersion in his culture. And by that I mean like his Dominican culture, nerd culture, even American culture. But I really, I'm just going to get this off the bat. One thing I didn't like about this is that it kind of characterizes all Dominican men with this kind of like broad stroke of them being obsessed with sex. Like, that is like their be-all and end-all. If you don't have sex, you're not a Dominican. And that was really frustrating, and some of the secondary male characters kind of all blended together because they all had the same motivations and everything, right? Everyone's having affairs and, you know, sleeping with people on the side and such. It's a non-linear plot. We jump from present day, dealing with Oscar Wilde, back into history, the story of his mother growing up, the story of his mother's family, the story of his sister and the trouble she faces in her youth. And I think that actually really adds to it because it reads more like a series of kind of novellas or short stories in that way, as opposed to just this. It is kind of a chunker. It's over 300 pages, 335 pages or so. 335 pages. So it kind of goes by fast because you're getting all these different perspectives and everything. I really also enjoyed the references that were everywhere. Oscar himself is a nerd. Our narrator, Junior, is a nerd. And there are references everywhere. And a lot of people will get some of the more mainstream ones, such as the Lord of the Ring references, the ones that he points out, such as like the Akira poster and the fantasy writing and all this kind of stuff. But there's a whole lot more to that. There's references to everything from history to literature, video games, movies, TV shows, anime, like a whole bunch of stuff. And I think it really serves to separate the real nerds from kind of like the posers, right? And I think the references really add to the characterization of Oscar Wilde. At the same time, you get to know him through his interests like that, and they're kind of peppered throughout. And again, in regards to his Dominican culture, it's also throughout you get Spanish phrases and Spanish words and stuff, which for me was kind of disruptive at first because I used to be okay with Spanish, but I haven't used it in a long time, so I had to look up things here and there, and once you do that, you start to see the repetition of certain words and stuff, and it really adds to it. And I read somewhere that Junot Diaz did that on purpose to kind of, you know, make you feel what it's like to be an immigrant and being encountered with these phrases in another language. So he doesn't provide any translations or anything, but I think that really added to it. What I really liked was learning about the history of the Dominican Republic. The Trujillo dictatorship is told throughout this. And I really like subjective history, I guess it would be called, because I really think the most important thing in history is not the dates and not the events, but the effects that these things have on people. I think that's really what's important. And the fact that it's told in kind of like that fictional sense, you get kind of fictional characters mixed in with true history, it makes it more memorable, and it really like amplifies the lessons from that period in history. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed this book. 4.75. I can't give it a 5-star rating just because of that broad stroke painted on Dominican men. And I don't know enough about Dominican culture. This is my first encounter with it to say whether that's like a true stereotype or not, but I think it wouldn't be. Yeah. So just let me know what you thought about this. I know quite a few people have read it. And my question to you today is, do references that you don't get wreck the reading experience for you, or do they encourage you to look it up, or do you just ignore them? In relation to that, I'm going to put a link that I found that lists all the references that occur in this book down in the description bar, and thank you for watching.